Okay, Greg, you're live. Okay, Greg.
All set, Rob?
Wait a second to settle. There's a big glare in my glasses, isn't there?
A little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nah, that made it too dark. You see what I'm talking about, Ruben?
Yeah, I do. I see your screen.
Yeah.
It's your reflection in your glasses.
Yeah, I'm trying to see. Yeah, that's unusual.
Too dark now, right?
Greg, turn on your backlight. The lamp behind you.
Oh, this one?
Yes.
Yeah, this kills the shot. I've been through this already.
Oh, it does. Oh, okay.
Well, it did the last time I tried it. It just, you know what? Maybe not. It didn't change anything, did it?
No.
The last time I tried it, it was like in the shot,
Did
sort
you,
of like.
did you,
like
can you adjust your monitor? Did you adjust it? Have you adjusted your monitor before?
No, I never have.
That's odd. I never seen the reflection.
Well, they're going to be looking at these two beautiful women and not me. So let's move on.
Okay.
No,
Okay.
you're the star of the show.
All right, hold tight. Give me a second. And take it, Greg.
Welcome, everyone. It's 6:11 on Monday night. You're listening to the 241st installment of the Age Out Angels Radio Hour on www.hamiltonradio.net Channel 2. I'm your host, Greg Rapport. If you're new to the show, I'm the founder and executive director of Age Out Angels. We provide one-to-one mentors to vulnerable youth for the purpose of coordinating the care and services that they need to thrive. We try to help young people avoid some of the horrible pitfalls that they're likely to face when they don't have a proper safety net. This program is brought to you every week at the same time, courtesy of the fine people here at Hamilton Radio who allow us to use this airtime. Ruben is on the big board tonight. Robin is producing. If you're friends of the show, you've heard me say that so many times, and it's so good to have both of them with me every week, and so good to have you listening from your computers or in your cars in New Jersey, around the country, and even beyond. I wonder if we're going to get subscribers like when we start doing interplanetary things, Ruben. What do you think? Now, please take a moment. If you're looking at us on Facebook or YouTube, hit all the buttons for me. We need you to like and subscribe and share and do anything else to get the word out. I promise you what we're going to be talking about tonight, A, applies to wherever you live, and B, nobody else is going to be talking about it. I watch the nightly news every night, and they never talk about this. So please, hit all the buttons and share it. We're increasing our subscribership all the time, and we need to do that in order to get word out. I have two very special guests with me tonight, and I'm going to dispense with the usual formalities because I want to get right to them. Marissa Blair grew up in Edison, New Jersey. I'm not going to tell you where she lives now in case you fall in love with her and you start stalking her. But currently, she is the Life Skills Program Coordinator of Lunch Break, where she helps individuals find their journey to self-sustainability through three very important things: employment, financial literacy, and education. Marissa, welcome to the Age Out Angels Radio Hour.
Hi, Greg. Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to be here.
It's my pleasure. And sitting next to Marissa is LENORE Gibson. I just learned your last name, Pettiford. I didn't realize that. I know you as LENORE Gibson, right?
Yes.
And it says here you feel as though you've known her for years, which actually I do. And LENORE works for an organization called Family Promise of Monmouth County. And she sort of is the complement to Marissa. She helps people get housing. Well, why don't you tell them what you do, LENORE?
Okay, so first off, thank you all for having us. I am super excited to be here and thrilled to be a part of this platform. So what Family Promise is, Family Promise actually was its own independent organization in Monmouth County, and it is actually all around the world. The United States, and we help those who are currently facing homelessness, and we provide them temporary shelter while we provide them tools, wraparound tools to get back stable on their feet. And so Lunch Break, where Marissa was, and Family Promise together thought, well, we're just missing one piece. So why don't we merge our programs, because the synergies align, and we now work as a program underneath lunch break. So now lunch break doesn't only offer food, clothing, and life skill support. They now also offer housing support. So wrap all the services around and you get success stories.
Well said.
So now I've always known Family Promise to be a separate organization. I didn't realize that it's sort of delineated by county.
Yes. So Ocean County actually has 2 organizations and Monmouth County has 1. So we actually service the entire Monmouth County.
I see. Okay. So in Monmouth County, you've sort of incorporated into the lunch break.
Yep. We folded right into their mission because their mission was only missing one piece. Right. They have a dining room that's open and they can get anywhere from 75 to 100 people a day looking for a meal. And the only tool that was missing was the housing component to get them off the street. So lunch break, our director, Ms. Gwendolyn Love, decided why not merge with lunch break where they already have the tools and now they have the program. So we merge our 2 programs and now we're just thriving together.
Sounds like a match made in heaven. So Marissa, when someone comes into lunch break, right? I'm assuming there's a sort of an assessment profile intake information, right? That's gleaned. Yes. And then would someone from there be referred to you? How does all that work? How do they get in touch with what you do?
Absolutely. So I get referrals from our intake and resource navigators. I get referrals from individuals just walking off the street into my office. And I also get referrals from Family Promise. So I have a diverse array of participants within my program. They come at me from all sides. I have a lot of referrals from the Mental Health Association, from CPC Behavioral Health, as well as other housing navigation programs like the Affordable Housing Alliance and so forth.
Right. And lunch break does more than your program, right? Lunch break came first and they feed people. That's basically what lunch break does, right?
Absolutely. Yes. So lunch break started 40 years ago. They started in the basement of a church with Miss Norma Todd, where they only served meals and gave out, provided fellowship to those that they were supporting. And as time went on, they realized that their mission had to expand because not only were they looking for food, they were also looking for clothing. So now they expand their services into Claire's Closet, which is an array of donated clothes throughout the county. And anyone can go in and get clothing off the street, especially those who are looking to further their career, which now this year, we launched a new site at the Brookdale campus. So now those individuals can now also get clothing. And from there, it just kept growing. So now we have our open dining room. We have a client choice pantry where clients can go around and pick up their own groceries that they like for their family. And a lot of our food is provided by the local farmers in Rumson, Colts Neck area. So you're getting fresh produce along with our nutrition team that we work with to make sure the food that we're putting on our shelves are nourishment for everybody and at all ages. In addition, we have a homebound program where we deliver food to those sick or shut in local. We also have an Alliance for Success program where we are inside the local Red Bank High School, grabbing those students that are, just need a little bit more help to encourage them to go for secondary education or a trade school, but to look outside of their lens, along with our life skills program, our ESL program. We have a cooking program where kids come in, kids under 12 years old, we provide all the food and they cook their meals in their home. And then now we have our lunch break, our Family Promise program, where we do shelter support, prevention, which is preventing those from being homeless, just that are one paycheck away. And then we also have those individuals who are currently homeless and they just need a couple resources to get on their feet. So lunch break now does array of services.
Yeah, it's very extensive.
Yes.
Do you have a guess as to how many people lunch break? Not like your individual programs, but how many people does lunch break touch, we'll say, throughout the course of
Thousands.
Yeah.
Thousands. It's hard to put an exact number on it because in recent years the numbers keep going up due to rent increasing, food costs increasing, overall inflation. I would say a few thousand. I don't know.
I would definitely say a few thousand. We call ourselves local because we actually service those outside of New Jersey, not only in Monmouth County, especially when someone's in our ESL program and says, I moved to Texas. Can I still continue to attend virtually? And they still attend virtually and sign up a person that's now living in their community. So we are reaching not only Monmouth County, but we're reaching far and beyond, and we turn no one away.
Yeah, it's wonderful. So Marissa, tell me what you're seeing. What are some of the common factors that you see when people come through your door? I mean, I realize everyone's an individual, but there have to be some commonalities.
Absolutely. I mean, I think a lot of people share systematic barriers. People of color come in who are generally already low income, unhoused or underhoused. They come in with a lack of self-worth, self-esteem. And there's a lot of cyclical negative thought processes happening. So a lot of people who come into the Life Skills Center, they come in with their shoulders down. They're there for help to get a job, to go to school, to be more. And unfortunately, no one in their life pushed them to be more. So they didn't believe in it themselves. So they come in, I pair them with an individual life skills coach so they could work one-on-one together, create an action plan of what goals we can accomplish first, what can we do later, and what are the long-term goals. And with that, there's motivational interviewing and empathetic communication, whereas they start to believe in themselves. They start to do the unthinkable and put themselves first. That's really what I see when they come in the door. And they usually leave with confidence.
So they took that first step?
Yes. They come in and take the first step because the hardest thing is asking for help.
Yeah.
It's hard to be vulnerable. It's hard to admit that what you're doing isn't working. So the fact that they call me, they do an online application, and they sit down to work with the life skills coach, that's the first step towards actually making a change. It's just admitting that you need that extra hand, not to enable you, but to empower you.
Yeah. Do you get sort of younger, maybe 19, 20, 21-year-olds coming in with their hoodie pulled over?
Yes.
All the way. You know, that's like one of the visual signs that I think of when I see it and I go, oh my, this is going to take a while. You know, this is going to be, you see that hoodie pulled over and you go, oh, to come out of that.
It's hard to crack through the hoodie. It's very hard to crack through the hoodie. I see individuals coming in with their face down, the baggy clothing, because the baggier the clothing, the smaller the self-worth, in my opinion. Yeah. Because they're hiding themselves. I see them coming in just tears in their eyes, kind of nowhere else to go, but they let down their guard and they open up despite going through life without someone help them.
So, you know, they don't just let down their guard just like that, right? I mean, that's kind of a process, you know. What were some of the longest times that you remember that it took you to sort of get another person to at least allow you in a little bit, you know, to get
absolutely. Yeah. So, I mean, I've been in social work for going on 2.5 years now. I actually started as the case manager at Family Promise, which is also why we were so tight right here. And why I have the experience I do. I would say the longest it took to break through someone's, you know, their shield of protection would probably be close to 4 to 5 months of weekly case management, weekly check-ins, the phone calls, the text messages, the not giving up. For instance, I do have a client who was a single father. He was in the program within Life Skills and Family Promise, and it took him close to 8 to 9 months to really let me in and to let us work on an action plan.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there's so much going on. I don't have a BA in psychology, so I have street psychology. You know,
that's good enough.
And sometimes there's just so much going on in the background. I don't know about you, but I don't really try to find out anything really about their background. It's nobody's business.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I definitely know what you're saying. And within cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, the goal is to focus on the now. What can we change right now in our lives to be better for the future? But it's really important for us to recognize our past, because there's repetitive learned behaviors that need to be confronted now and talked about why they were used in the past. So I know in the life skills program, we definitely talk about the past within a general needs assessment and with their coaches. And I know in Family Promise, we definitely talk about the past too.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And so let's talk about Lenore's past.
Yeah.
Do you feel that segue coming? I mean,
Good segue.
it was just there.
Awesome.
But very few, here's the thing, is very few youth who are in foster care or who have spent time in foster care are that willing to share their experiences. I think for a lot of reasons. I think when you're young, Lenore, I mean, tell me, when you were young, did a lot of the people I work with feel a sense of humiliation for being in foster care? Like, what's wrong with my family, kind of? Is it my fault?
Yes, and there's no one that actually explains to you what's going on. It's a matter of someone gave me a phone call. I was 14 years old, and it happened to be a DCPMP worker for Monmouth County who said, "We got a report that you were running away." And I wasn't running away. It happened to be Christmas break, and I was going to visit my family in Virginia. So I wasn't running away, and my mom knew exactly where I was. And from there, DCPMP, I'm not going to say they grilled me, but the phone call lasted a good 20 minutes. I had no supervisor. I had no adult figure nearby. I had no lawyer. So as I'm being asked these questions that in my child mind, I know I have to answer, because I've always been told people have an assumption when these people call you, you better answer or they're going to take you away. So because you have that in your heart, it was a 14-year-old girl answering questions that actually did not benefit my mother's situation. It actually hurt her, because I was speaking from the truth. And it's not that anybody should shy away because you want help, but at the same time, I could have said the wrong thing that could have taken me away that moment. And so I thank God that everything worked out. I was a freshman in high school when DCPMP reached out to my family. At that moment, it was myself as well as my mother and her boyfriend living in a home. My 3 brothers were all living outside the home because it became too toxic, and the issues that were just evolving. And sure enough, my sophomore I was 16, so that's junior year,
Sophomore year.
Sophomore year, I got a call from my DCPMP worker that I had been working with for the past year. My mother had been working one-on-one, and they would check in with me regularly just to see how I'm doing, if there was anything I needed. The answer was always no. But I specifically remember the week after my 16th birthday, I got called down to the office, got put in the principal's office. Never been there before because I was a goody two-shoes. And next thing you know, the DIFOS worker appeared. And it was, "Unfortunately, Lenore, you can't go home." What do you mean I can't go home? And I was already in a homeless situation under the Board of Social Services with my mother. So we weren't home. We were actually living in a hotel paid for by the Board of Social Services. So I was already in a homeless situation, being told, you can't go back to that situation and you need to find, a place to go that you're going to live. And as a kid, once again, there's no one giving you guidance. There's no one speaking to you. But because of the age I was asked, which not everybody is gifted, but I was asked, where would I like to go? And so I named several people. And it was like, nope, can't go to your dad's. Nope, can't go to your grandmother's. Nope, can't go here. So it was like, so why did you ask me? Where do you want me to go? However, I was lucky enough to go back to my neighborhood and moved in with my neighbor. And it was a very good situation. I lived there for a year with that foster mother, which was a similar age to me. I think she was about 10 years my senior. So it was very comfortable that I did not feel that I was a foster kid, but I was. I was remanded by DCPMP to this location. The tools, I don't believe there were any tools provided to my foster mother at the time, and I wish that there was. I was provided a social worker. The social worker, I used to try to skate out on her every chance I got. She would come meet with me bi-weekly, every week. And her name was Miss Judy Callahan. And she does not know how successful I am today. But everything that I have is not because of my DCPMP worker. It's because of the social worker they provided me, where she ensured that I do not fall through the cracks. They helped pay for my driver's ed school. She paid for my work clothing. She taught me how to save my money. She paid for my pre-SAT courses. She paid for my SAT 10. She took me down to Rowan University to do my entrance interview, which I then got accepted. She made sure my financial aid was done. She also made sure I moved into college. But what she did not prepare for was right after my 18th birthday, I was now in another home, and that foster situation did not work out. And so DCPMP actually served me with a document that was to emancipate myself. And I was 18 years old. I had no legal representation with me. And they said, here, sign this, and you can go live wherever you want. My birthday is in February, and I wasn't graduating high school till June. It was not a successful situation.
Oh, my.
And DCPMP actually let me go. And from there, I moved in with my boyfriend. And it was not good. You know where this is going, right, Greg?
What could go right, huh?
What can go right? So that following week, after I signed this document, I move out into my boyfriend's house. I'm sleeping on the floor as a senior in high school. And Miss Judy pulls up to school because I'm ignoring her phone calls. That's what 18-year-olds do.
Right.
They don't want another mother. And she said, get in the car, and we talked. And she's like, I said, why are you here? I'm not a foster kid anymore. So what do you need? So I pull out this crumpled up piece of paper and I hand it to her that said I was now no longer a ward of the court. And she said, absolutely not. She took me down to the local office and she ripped them a new one. I'm not going to say what office, but she took me to one of the DCPMP offices, and she, in front of everyone, she said, who was the guardian with Lenore when Lenore signed these documents? Because you all now have turned off her financial stream. You have turned off her health insurance. And now you are ruining her chances of becoming a college graduate. And now you are allowing her to go live with a boyfriend after I have worked hard to get her to be a college student. And she now has a full scholarship based on being a foster kid on my 18th birthday. And now you all are ruining the possibility of her success. And she's going to become another Black statistic that has fallen through the cracks. And it was very true what she said. And they signed me back into DCPMP. She ripped up the document and said, fix it. That's what she really did. And they fixed it. And they placed me. They did not place me. They allowed me to continue to have my own placement, but they put me back in Monmouth County with a family friend. So from the date of my freshman year until the day I graduated high school, I had 9 different addresses.
Wow.
9. That
Was school your safe? Was school your safe place? Was school your safe place?
It was, but because of everything that I was going on in my life, it was an embarrassment to say I was a foster kid. Today I wear it on my sleeves because I want other people to know you have a voice. But as a kid, no, I did not want anyone to know that I did not have a mom to run home to, or a dad, or my own bedroom, or, pictures on the wall. You're a high schooler. I didn't get to experience all those things because of the choices, one, that my mother made, and choices that this DCPMP worker has now put in place, which was emancipating me and me having to find my footing.
Well, yeah, and I mean, what that was. I mean, I see that occasionally. It's a way that women get abused. That it actually is. It's a recipe for abuse, because now you're driven into the boyfriend's place and you're sleeping on the floor, and your alternative is to sleep in the streets. So, those are situations where if the male wants to be abusive, they sort of feel like they can and get away with it. It's terrible.
Absolutely. Well, DCPMP, they did in turn provide me $250 a month to care for myself. And we're going back to 2008, where $250 actually helped a little bit. And that paid for my car insurance, that paid for my cell phone, but that was it. And so one of the biggest barriers that I had was, when it was time to go home on Christmas break, where do you go home to? When I wanted to leave the campus, how do I leave the campus? Because I don't have someone to come pick me up. My mother was in Florida. My father was in Lakewood. So what are my options? And so I stayed in. And that summer, at the end of my freshman year, I ended up that statistic. I ended up as a pregnant girl who dropped out of college, and I was an EOF student with a scholarship.
Yeah.
So the school explained to me, you can take off 4 semesters and then resume. And sure enough, on that 4th semester, by then I realized I couldn't be a mom on a salary of $7.50. So I had no choice to come back into school. However, I was pregnant, right? So when I was 20 years old, here I am now pregnant. I go tell my DCPMP worker, and he gave me 2 choices. He said, you could stay in custody, and then your child will be in the system, and we will, continue to follow you. Or you can sign out as of the date that you deliver the child. And so, as a person who was ignorant to the system and did not know what my options were, I chose to sign out because I did not want my son to be another statistic. I knew of these generational barriers and these generational statistics, and I didn't want that for myself. Instead, I chose to struggle. Had I known what I know now, I would have stayed in the system, where the system would have at least aided me when minimum wage was $7.25, and I would not have had to struggle as a mom the way that I did. I would have stayed in until I aged out and reaped the benefits that were there for me, but no one ever explained them to me. So I let them go.
Yeah. That's just an amazing story, and look what a success you are. And where's that child today?
My child is at church doing a Christmas event. And he is now 13, almost 14 years old. And he knows my story. And now I have a master's degree in social work as a ripple effect of the social work that I was once given. And as a child who was homeless not once but twice, I now am the director of a homeless shelter where I ensure every woman who comes in, they get treated with dignity, respect, honesty, open, confident education. No matter what you need, we will figure it out. But a closed mouth does not get fed. So we make sure that every person who walks in, if you want to know my story, I'll tell you my story, because I'm going to give you my 100% authentic self.
It's pretty cool. I remember the time that I was in kinship care for a brief time when I was younger, and I noticed something then. I didn't notice it then, but years later, reflecting back on it, I realized a very important thing, which is that when I was with my biological family, I always felt like I was loved. You know, there was like never a day that went by, even when we were mad at each other, you know, there was not
Right.
a day that went by that I didn't know that I was loved, you know, and then remove that home, you know, or remove me from that home. And the best you get is tolerated.
Yeah.
You know, you never find that piece of love again. You know?
Right.
And that's to me that's like so important for the emotional development. And as I've told you guys, Age Out Angels is all about love. That's our prime directive.
Right.
And why I like having you guys on the show, because even though you're in a capacity where you have to get certain things done, it's how you do it. If you do it with love and compassion, then I think the person may feel it.
Absolutely.
Yes.
I can tell you, we have a new family walking our door every day, whether they were referred to us from Board of Social Service, or they just had a fire and they posted something on Facebook and they said, come to lunch break. There are times, I mean, I can literally visualize a mother walked in our front door with her 2 kids. She had called earlier to see if we were in. So I knew of her name. She walked in our door. She had been sleeping in the car for the last 2 nights with her 2 children under 5 years old. And the minute she saw my face come from around the corner, and I said, hi, how can I help? And she literally she turned red, her eyes welled up. And I said, whoa. We have a beautiful, beautiful facility that recently got renovated last year. And we have a toy room. So I said, wait, don't cry. I brought the kids to the toy room. Mom, can we play? She said, yes. She put the kids in there. We bring her to our living room, which is an amazing, it's not a regular living room. It's like a therapeutic living room. And she just sat down and she just let it go.
You got it.
No words necessary. Just cried and cried until she was done. And then she was ready to talk, be listened to. We got her into a hotel. We placed her. And from there, we were able to we were full at capacity, but we were able to get a DV program to shelter her for a long amount of time. And from there, she now gives back her time to another organization called Rapport. And now she does exactly what we were. We're case managers. And it's because the compassion that was given to her, she's now giving to other people. And I can't tell you that every single person that comes to our program, they all want to come back.
Yeah.
They all come back. We do events where we bring our graduates together with our current family, and they empower each other to let them know you're going to get through this. Just because this happened to you, it's not the end. At the end, you know, God has the final testimony. You will make it through. We put all of our tools together between the clothing. People come with just a garbage bag. We reach out to our clothing closet. We provide them dinner 3 to 5 days a week. And any night that any family is hungry, that they can't supplement dinner on their other night, we reach out to our community partners to provide a pizza, a sub, anything. We lean on our churches to provide gas in their cars for weekly transportation, in addition to our grants. So we literally put everything together in addition to our car repair program.
See, you're hitting on something that I think is really fundamental to this. I was just in conversation with a gentleman the other day, and we were talking about, you know, how can you help the homeless and stuff like that. And I said, well, you could start by, you know, taking all the malls that aren't being used and converting them to little houses and let them have a place to live. And he said to me an answer that I get very commonly, which is that, but if you give that to them, what's their incentive to produce themselves? And my answer to that is in what you just said, which is, as you were just rattling off the component parts, right?
Right. Just wraparound services.
It doesn't work. Like, life doesn't work for a person once they're in that spot. Like, who knows how you get into that spot, but you're there. You're in that spot. You're like hanging on by a thread. You're homeless, or you might be homeless, or you could get kicked out of the house, whatever it happens to be. You just told your parents you were gay, and bang, you have to, you know, You get kicked out of the house. There's
Yeah.
so many reasons that a person ends up homeless. But when they find themselves in that situation, it's hard as hell to sort of do anything. I mean, you could look at that person and say, well, geez, why aren't they this? Why aren't they that? In my mind, I'd be paralyzed, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, and fight or flight or freeze.
Yeah. So Marissa, given that life is just so damn complicated, like your three things, just take the education component, with which I'm extremely familiar because we run, the Bridges to Employment program, and the education part can be just so damn complicated. There are all kinds of reports, and you can't go to school unless you have your 3 IDs, right?
Yes.
Like you can't do anything in this world unless you have an original birth certificate, a state-issued photo ID, and an original social security card. Okay?
Yes.
So, all right. So now you're 16, 17 years old. You're about to get your first job. We want to teach you to have a bank account, right?
Right.
Where are those 3 documents? Take it, Marissa.
Your mother has them in the safe, lost it, caught fire, and it's gone.
It's gone. It's down the river. It doesn't exist. Or if it does, it might exist in a photo on a phone, on somebody's cell phone 2 states away.
So how do you even start?
That's a great question.
There is a gentleman, he is in his 70s. He has not seen his birth certificate in 40 years. And we just got his birth certificate. I brought it to his home because he's no longer homeless. We got them in a house without it. And when I brought it over and he's seen his mother's name, it broke him down.
Yeah.
Because it's just one of those things, like you don't see your mother's name, and who knows how long she had been deceased. But every little milestone matters. And in this case, you can actually get your birth certificate using a third-party website. It may cost a little bit more, but it actually does work. You just have to make sure that it is a secure website and you can get your birth certificate. In addition, in Freehold, you can actually get a local ID through the Freehold office.
In Asbury Park, too.
In Asbury Park also, if you are homeless and you have documented proof of homelessness, a person like ourselves, who are local social workers, can obtain your birth certificate for free one time in your lifetime if you are homeless and it's documented.
Freeze right there. Freeze right there.
Yes.
Don't move. Don't move. Are you telling me that being homeless in itself isn't enough? You have to have a piece of paper that says, Greg Rapport is officially declared to be homeless.
Yes, and it needs to be signed by a third party or a social worker or a different organization to actually verify it.
Wow. That just underscores my point about how complicated life is right now. That old thing about pull yourself up by your bootstraps, my God, you couldn't find your bootstraps today. Right. Just to be homeless requires documentation. Come on.
It does.
Exactly. And that's why we really try to focus on a housing first model, where whether it's a life skills participant or a family promise adult, they need to be in stable housing first before we start working on all the other goals that we have, like financial literacy, education, getting a job. Because without that stability, they're just frozen in time.
Yeah.
They don't know what step to take next. And even though we're there holding their hands, supporting them, they still like, where am I going to sleep tonight? Because that's the most important thing.
Correct.
In Maslow's hierarchy of needs, basic safety is the foundation of self-actualization and surviving in life. So having a home is the first step.
Have you looked at that lately? Maslow's hierarchy of needs?
No, I haven't seen it in a few years.
Yeah, but see, that's the funny thing about it, is that the most of the children that I work with, and I have a feeling many of the ones that you work with, can't make it out of the first level.
Correct.
Exactly.
That basic first level. And I can't remember now off the top of my head. I should look it up right now. Where emotional needs come in.
The last one.
It's the top is self-actualization, right?
Oh.
Self-actualization.
Yeah, self-actualization.
That's the top.
Look up the triangle.
I'm going to look it up right now. Maslow's hierarchy.
Runs to Google.
The only other way to get a birth certificate is with 3 pieces of mail dated in the last 90 days. And you could take that to your local office to verify you are you. But if you don't have a mailbox, you don't have a piece of mail.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's amazing. All right, so I'm looking at this now, right? Okay. Now, it's interesting how dated this is, because his bottom layer is psychological needs. Okay.
Yeah.
And psychological needs are considered breathing, food, water, shelter, clothing, and sleep. Now, what we tend to think of as psychological needs, they actually don't come till the 3rd rung. Friendship, family, he calls it love and belonging.
Belonging.
Friendship, family, intimacy, sense of connection. Self-esteem is until the 4th rung.
Yeah, I'm looking at that. Wow.
So what he's saying is that, I mean, he's not saying that, I don't know that he's talking about these in order of importance. I think he's talking about these in order of what you need to get to the
next level.
Yeah. So that means in order to get self-esteem, you need breathing, food, water, shelter, clothing, sleep, health, employment, property, family, social ability, friendship, family, intimacy, a sense of connection. Then you have a shot at self-esteem.
It's not even a guarantee.
Well, yeah.
Right.
I mean, if you buy into this, that's a long route to self-esteem. If you're starting out homeless, so
absolutely.
So where's the part in that where you pull yourself up by your bootstraps?
Nowhere.
Where's
because a lot, I can honestly say, from doing this for the last couple of years, I can say a lot of what we see is generational stigma that's been placed on them, and based on their mother or father had lived in this, low income complex, and their mom worked at Dunkin' Donuts and thrived because her rent was based on her income there, and it was within walking distance, so she didn't need a car to get where she needs to be. And then she used the local bus or taxi to go get food and go get clothing. So she didn't need any of those, a diploma. She didn't need any of those things that we're now saying. Now, 2023, you can't live without a car. You can't live without education. They are saying a bachelor's degree is now equal to a high school diploma. So these individuals who are dropping out of school, it's not going to be beneficial to them, because now they're going to be stagnant working at Dunkin' Donuts, trying to live off of low-income housing, which we now know as a country there's not enough of. So we have to work together to break stigma, to make people realize they have to be more than what their parents were, because this world is only going to get harder.
Exactly. And just to piggyback off of that, a really big part of that is believing that you deserve more. Because we could shout from the rooftops that you deserve to have your high school diploma. You deserve to have a job, a car, a home to call your own. But a lot of times they grew up within their family dynamic that didn't push for that. And they were comfortable where they were. So why would I need more?
Correct.
Why would I need to go for a higher degree of education? Why would I want a real career path when I could just get by at McDonald's? Not bashing McDonald's or Dunkin', but
right.
They deserve more. They deserve more to not just live, but to thrive.
I have that discussion a lot. How we spend a lot of time trying to get young people to strive towards a world that A, they can't understand, B, they can't really imagine because they have no background by which to deal that from, and to get it will take them completely out of their comfort zone.
Correct. Yes.
Right?
Correct.
A caseworker once told me she was trying to convince a young man to go to school, I think. And in the background, there was like, you know, a couple of generations of people, and they were all agreeing that you're 16. What the you talking about school for? Get out there and get a job.
And that's exactly why our Alliance for Success program is so successful, because we're taking those kids where their parents are saying, no, you need to go get a job. And we are exposing them to what else is out there. You don't have to go to college, but you can go to a trade school you could do a 16-week course as a CNA.
Or in the Culinary Institute, like the bounds are limitless. We take them to local universities like Rutgers University, Montclair, Brookdale, and we expose them to just more than Red Bank. Because sometimes that's all they ever see. Their parents may not have a vehicle. They might not have access to public transportation. So they don't know what's outside those four walls of the home that they've been thriving within. We take them out, make them a little uncomfortable, and we expose them to what their capabilities are.
Right. And I want to say our last class, or maybe 2 classes ago, maybe our last class, I want to say we had 100% success rate of everyone enrolling in a secondary program, whether it was the military, a 4-year college, a 2-year college, or a trade school.
Yes.
And their families supported them. And it was amazing. We all cried.
Yes, no, we love that Alliance for Success program. Our coworker Renee is the one coordinating it, and she's absolutely amazing. Also within AFS, every child gets a one-on-one mentor where they can work on a college prep task list, whether it's like taking the PSAT, the SATs, visiting trade schools, working on a resume. But we also take into account social, emotional learning, self-esteem, and trying to help them, you know, better their mental health at the same time.
We're coaches.
Yeah, I mean, well, it's so important, because what we were talking about before is that a person can't learn if they don't have shelter and food. I mean, those basic things. If you don't know where your next meal is coming from, you're not going to just say, wait a minute, I'm going to compartmentalize that because I have this algebra assignment due. It's just preposterous to think you'd think that way. But the same is true also if you're, you know, experiencing the adolescent effects of childhood trauma, because those things are there too. I mean, so, okay, maybe you're fed and maybe you're housed.
Right.
But those complex traumas that many of the children that I meet face, and that I have a feeling that you did to some degree as well.
Absolutely.
You know, Lenore. Marissa, did you have more of a just traditionally dysfunctional family like me?
I have a good amount of adverse childhood experiences. The ACE test, I actually took it one time and I scored in like one of the top percentiles because I'm a child of divorce. There's drug abuse within my family.
We could do the test now if you want.
I was homeless at one time. There was neglect, emotional abuse, you know, the whole 9. So I know what it's like to come from a family that's more than just the chaotic, regular dysfunction, but like the actual, how am I going to survive? And that really bleeds into why I am the social worker that I am and why I love working with adults in the life skills program. Because I wish that my mother and other family members had the social worker that I am now.
Oh, I see. So no, you did not have the same. You did not have the same experience as me. We were homeless because we were in a horrible car accident. My parents were stuck in a hospital in Georgia. So my brother and I were shipped up north to do what actually child welfare is supposed to do, right? We were shipped up north. We were temporarily placed with family members. There was only orphanages back then. I'm talking the 1960s, okay? But we were, oh, stop laughing. We were placed with family members, and then my parents came back, and I don't know, a few months later, and we all were reunited back in the home, and that was pretty much the end of it. What they don't tell you about kinship care is that there's a psycho relative in there somewhere in your family. Every family.
There's always one.
Well, it could be more, but there is at least one.
Exactly.
And if that's the guy who raises his hand and says, I'll take him, and the caseworker doesn't think it through, you could end up in that situation. So I got a little taste of what it's like to be not cared for.
Yeah.
That's a rude awakening for a spoiled little boy, I was kicked out of the house 10 o'clock at night, 11 years old, in a snowstorm.
Wow.
Wow.
You know, that falls like a thud, doesn't it?
Right.
So,
Yeah.
but generally that, you know, like I know the difference. That generally was not my experience. My experience was I was loved, I was cared for, and that's what's enabled me to see the difference in, you know, in the things that we do. So
Yeah.
you're when you go about this, you do the intake, and you may, Marissa, if a person doesn't have that basic shelter and a couple of other things before you start working with them on their, you know, education plan for success, do you just get them over to Lenore right away so she can work her magic? Is that?
Yes, no, depending on the participant. If it's a single individual, I'll probably problem solve on my own and help them either go through social services, Rapport, or another organization, because Family Promise can only house families. But if it is a family, I will push it over to Lenore, and then we'll probably problem solve over there together as well.
Okay, so if it's a single pregnant lady, is that a family? Where does does it begin with inception, Lenore?
So there's a million resources, right? And so let me just backtrack a second. So the first rule of thumb is everybody goes to social services to get help. However, if you are not on welfare, if you do not meet the income guidelines of poverty, which is, I believe, 30%, you do not get help. And so as a family of one, if you make over almost, I want to say $200, maybe $250 a month, you do not qualify for shelter. If you're a family of two and you make over I think it's $350 a month, you do not qualify for poverty. So our doors, we are getting 40 to 60 applications a month at this current moment, and we can only shelter 8 families. That's what it really looks like. And we are the only public family shelter in Monmouth County. There are others that if you met that financial guideline, which is you do not have unemployment, you do not have disability, and you have zero income, those individuals can go to social services and qualify to get a source of support. However, everyone else comes to our doors. Yeah. And so there's days we don't leave till 7, 8 o'clock. So a lot of the time she is trying to problem solve on their own, or she'll shoot me a message and say, are there any openings?
Yeah.
So because of that, we have to be strategic as to what resources meet the needs of each person. So if it is a single pregnant person with no other children, there's a program in Nutley, New Jersey that we refer to called Birth Haven, and that is for pregnant women. Now, if we get a teenager, we reach out to Ocean Harbor House. We reach out to Covenant House. If it's a single individual, we reach out to Affordable Housing Alliance or Jersey Shore Rescue Mission. So we always try to figure out what program is best. And we recently in Monmouth County, there was no women's shelter in Monmouth County. So effective, I want to say November 1st, the first shelter opened. It's over at First Baptist Church in Red Bank, and they are thriving. They're doing good. They're utilizing all of us community partners. And I believe they're gonna have 10 beds for women. So depending on what the family looks like is how we help. Now, if we do not have an opening, we do at least put them in a hotel for a few days, depending on when their next money comes in or when their next plan is. But everything is about planning. Someone walks in our door, the first step is, what do you want to be your success? This year in 2023, we sent one person to Canada, Indiana, Minnesota, Florida, Georgia, North Carolina. We are literally global because being housed doesn't mean you have to stay in Jersey. It means it's wherever you will be successful and wherever your support is. And if your support is not New Jersey and you can't afford New Jersey, let's work on an action plan to get you where you'll be stable, you can thrive, and you have a support team. Exactly. So we're just being very creative.
It's funny. New Jersey, you think of that as one of those elite states because it costs so much to live here. Look, kid, you can't afford New Jersey, but I got a lovely condo for you in North Carolina. And if it works, it works because that's how hard it is to. Yeah, you just said it again when you said you can't make more than $250 a week or you get nothing. right?
Yes.
If I made $1,000 a month, it wouldn't be enough to live, but I would get nothing. To help me. This system is just designed in many, many ways so that once you're down, you're out. And
exactly. And just circling back, I think the system also perpetuates when you're on the system to stay on the system.
Yeah.
Like if you make $5 more than the cap for food stamps for a family size of 3, you're cut off completely. Your voucher might be reduced. Your rent goes up. All hell breaks loose just because you're trying to better yourself to earn more income. So that's why so many individuals that I encounter within Family Promise, within the Life Skills program, they do not want to go higher than where they are or lower where they are. They want to stay exactly where they are, income-wise. That way, nothing changes. That way, their safety isn't compromised.
Yeah, it is.
Now we're now creating another generational statistical barrier, and they will now continue to be plummeted exactly where they were. You came to us, you were on your bottom, we helped you get a little up. We got you a place, and now that you've lost so much, now they say, well, then I don't want this. Well, we'll keep the house, but I'm going to reduce my hours. I'm going to reduce this just so I can stay on the welfare system, which is health insurance and food support. Because when you go over the income limit, a single family of 2 is $35,000 a year. Soon as a mother and her child make $35,000, the mother will lose health insurance until she reaches $55,000. And if she doesn't have an employer that's going to give her health insurance, she's now screwed. And guess what? When she goes to file her taxes, she's going to be hit with a penalty.
Penalty for no insurance.
Because the system cuts her down.
Yeah.
It happens at least, I think, once every 2 months.
Yeah.
Every time we have a family leave, they then go report to the Board of Social Services their new income,
their lease agreement,
and now they are back to square one, where they've now lost their food support.
It's exhausting. It is
exhausting. It's a cycle of poverty.
Yeah. And you can't get out. You just can't get out. So if you're listening and you're not in New Jersey, couple of messages I want to make sure that you hear from this. The first is that Lunch Break and Family Promise can't serve all the people in the country who need. There's plenty of room. If you decide to launch your own agency, they won't think of you as competition, and neither will I. I got, 430,000 foster kids. I could take care of 150. Beyond that, somebody else is going to have to step in and be my friend to do it. The problem is huge. But if you happen to be in New Jersey, or if you want to talk to these guys and find out, how they do what they do, that's allowed. Where would they go to do that, Marissa? They would
go to our website, www.lunchbreak.org.
Yeah.
They will go onto our website. Over there, there's a list of our programs where you can find the contact information for myself at Life Skills, Lenore at Family Promise, as well as our Clara's Closet, our Client Choice Pantry, our AFS program, and all the other good that we do.
Good. I do get that call every once in a while. Someone will tell me, hey man, like, you set up a nonprofit. Someone called me from Chicago a year or so ago. I'm trying to help homeless people. How should I do it? And just have a rational discussion about how you start a 501c3 and, the steps you have to go through and what it costs and everything else to file and get that, because that's what's needed here is so much help. I was talking to someone from the National Foster Care Alumni Association who said they have 7,000 members. Okay, 7,000 members in the national, and there's 430,000 kids in foster care. So if each one of those alumni took on a mentorship, of one child, they wouldn't scratch the surface, of what we're talking about, numbers that are huge. And the thing that I think I love the most about the both of you is that you get it, that no matter how big the numbers are, you got to help people one at a time.
Literally. Absolutely. Everyone is their own individual. They all come with their own baggage, their own dreams, their own love.
Yep.
So we try to communicate with them to the best of our ability and see them for who we are. Actually just see them, not just look at them, perpetuate a stigma, but see them and their character.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
And the
think it's
one
amazing.
but the one thing is people come to any one of our programs, and right now we've been around in different buildings just because our current main site has been under renovation. And every person will sit down with you and talk with you, no
Right.
matter who the employer is, all the way up to our head executive director. If you
Yeah.
want to sit down and have lunch with our director while you're, in your homeless, we will sit down, we will pray with you, we will talk with you, we will guide you, we will make phone calls and whatever it's needed. And they always say, who are you guys? We're lunch break.
Mm-hmm.
Here to help. We're always here to help.
We're just regular people. We don't look at ourselves like, oh, we're high and mighty, superiority complex. We're just people who've gone through it. We struggled ourselves and we want to help other people just move through life.
Yeah. And our mission is help for today, hope for tomorrow. And
Yeah.
we all stand by it 100%.
Cool stuff. Hang with me for just a second while I do some final words here, because I feel like I need to kind of say something about all the craziness that's going on in the world right now. I know over Thanksgiving, especially, like people would get together and you go, so how you doing? And oh man, I just feel bad. I don't know why. It's just, what's happening in the world. It cast a pallor. I don't know if you noticed that or not, but it certainly did in my world. And it occurred to me, and I started looking into things, and it just seems like there's always someone out there who wants to kill someone else. It's like never ending. Now, I'm assuming that the three of us together are really not what you would call warmongers, right? We don't
Correct.
think war's like really a good thing, So, but what happens is we just seem to go from crisis to crisis, and then we turn on the news and we actually can watch our fellow human beings kill each other. And it just seems all so pointless sometimes. And we didn't invent it. Like somebody's always worried that they'll suddenly lose something. But if we admit, that we did horrible things to the Indians or whatever, but the fact of the matter is that since the beginning of time, there's always been someone trying to conquer the land and the possessions of other people and enslave them. This has been going on since the beginning of time. And it made me wonder, what was the first one? What was the first time that happened? It's an event, so it had to happen, right? Don't say Cain, all right? We're not going there. The first time it happened was, probably, I guess, some cavemen or something, right?
Probably.
And I don't know. Did one try to steal another's food and he killed him? Did the caveman with the smaller cave covet the caveman with the larger cave?
Wow.
It had to be going on, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's almost like sometimes people pretend there were no gay Indians. There have to have been gay Indians. It's a percentage, right?
Exactly. This isn't new.
All right. So this added, and you can't say it's people from one region or another either, right? Because years ago, before transportation, a lot of these cultures developed separately from each other, and they killed each other. They didn't need the Europeans to come to America to teach them how to kill each other. Certainly the Indian tribes here in America, some were extremely warlike. So it's not a region or culture that, or any of that stuff. It's this warlike nature that pervades the human species, no matter how isolated your culture is. And so I just try to go back in time and figure out a way where it began. And I think I got it.
Okay, what you got?
Please tell.
We have a common ancestor that is humans, okay? Have a common ancestor with chimpanzees, okay? In the evolutionary scale.
Yep, natural selection.
Right, okay? Then, and there was this fork in the road, and the chimpanzees, and we went this way, and the chimps went that way. But we have a common ancestor. And guess what?
What?
I was looking into animal behavior. All right, because I was starting with a totally different thought. I was starting with the premise that dolphins are assholes and going from there. Okay. And when I found chimpanzees, that's exactly how they behave.
Wow.
Okay. Now, here's the thing, though. there's plenty of evidence that we could have evolved beyond that. You know, I mean, think about the number of us who don't like war compared to the number who do. Right? We outnumber them 100 to 1 at least. I'll wager 100% of the people who listen to this broadcast, you know, are not going, man, finish this already because I gotta go shoot somebody. That's not my audience, right?
Right.
And I have to tell you, the people I've known in the military, especially veterans who've seen combat, are the most against war. I've known a couple of generals in my life. One specifically I was pretty tight with before he got caught with his secretary on the couch. That's a whole other story. But we talked about this one day when he showed up with a Guantanamo Bay t-shirt, you know? This war is not something that people who have been involved in it want more of, generally speaking. I mean, there are mercenaries, but there's not actually that many of them. So, and the reason I think for that is because they understand war in a much more real way. And so they have respect for the way that war also damages the winning side. There are parts of war, like you may get their land, you know, but they'll hate you forever. There's the winning side loses in other ways, you know, just in other ways. And there frequently, I mean, there have been lots of wars, especially it seems like lately, where there's wars and people die, but nobody ultimately wins. You know, it's really weird to me that Vietnam is a vacation destination.
Yeah.
You know, I grew up trying to avoid that war. I got caught in the last draft. But, you know, I grew up with Vietnamese were gooks. You know, I grew up where people were coming home. Everybody knew someone on their block who either died or lost a leg. And there were almost 500,000 troops in that war. And now they'll build a Hilton. Sorry, Hilton. I don't know if I should use your name. I just use it as a generic name, like, you know, like Xerox or something. But right, I mean, now they're gonna build it and keep the people poor anyway. It's hard for me to reconcile. How is it that all we wanted to do was drop napalm on them, you know, 50 years ago, and now for some reason we're best buddies? And there's another thing to think about too, which is that among the people who don't make war are people who have made tremendous contributions towards the advancement of civilization. You know? They're the people who build the things that the war people blow up. You know, those are the people who are the scientists who find the vaccines and cure the diseases, you know, that keep us alive. These are the people who are keeping us alive.
Right.
You know, they're not part of that war machine. And now I've turned on the television. I see these World War II style ground wars, you know, with tanks and going from, and I feel like, you know, I'm somewhere in 1943 sometimes. And then to top that off, there's this daily shooter in the United States, right? Who's going to, you know, buy an AR-15. I was driving the other day and I saw this sign, gun show this Saturday. And so, you know, just those of us who don't make war, it would be good if we sort of spread the word to the other people who do like to make war, that maybe they should just stop, because they really are screwing things up for the rest of us.
Absolutely.
And that's all we have time for tonight. I want to thank you for listening.
Of course. Thank you for having us.
Oh, you bet. Thank you for listening at home. Let's make a date to meet right back here next week. I think it's December 11th. Gary Garrido Schneider, the executive director of Grounds for Sculpture, is going to be here. Now, here's the thing. If you're local to the Trenton, New Jersey area, Mercer County, I guess, you'll want to know all the cool things that they'll be doing in the next few months. But if you're outside this area, if you're listening to my show all across the country, as I know many of you are, I promise by the time next week's show is over, you will be packing your bags and getting airline tickets to Trenton, New Jersey, because Grounds for Sculpture is the kind of destination It really should, right? You're shaking your head, yes.
I love grounds for sculpture. I've been there
That's
like 4
right.
times.
Who would ever, who would ever contradict me on this? This is a destination that really should be on everyone's bucket list. And I want to leave you with this thought, okay? If you've ever seen a piece of art and thought to yourself, I wonder what it would be like to be in that painting. That's all I'm going to say, except join me next week and we'll talk about it more. Thanks to our producer, Robin, to our engineer, Ruben. Music provided by Mozart. I don't know why he works for us. He must need the money. Stay safe, everyone. Until next time, let's remember, it's only Monday. There's plenty of time to make this week the best week ever. Good night, everyone.
Good
Good night.
No.
It will end abruptly. You've not been punished, okay? Great job.
Thank you.
You got to come back sometime, okay?
Whenever
We
you're
will.
ready.
Come
Come
back.
back.
I'll have Renee. You'll come back with Renee.
Sure. I'll bring her too.
You'll do separate computers next time.
You got it. Thanks so much.
Okay.
Greg.
Thank you, Greg.
Separating the friendship. Take care. You're both.
Bye-bye.
All right. Bye-bye.